So it's time to roll back into our program. And, we've heard a little bit about it throughout the morning, about the importance of choice and the freedom that we have for choice. Well, with that whole concept of choice, there's a lot of power that comes along with the ability to choose. So to help break the myths of personality, thinking that maybe we don't really have a choice because that's just the way we are, our next speaker is going to show us there's no room for excuses, only better choices. Jane Schuette comes to us from rural Minnesota. She served audiences anywhere from U.S. Armed Forces to women inmates. And through all of them, Jane loves to help people build their brilliance and sail through the stormy seas of stress. And I feel like we've all been on the boat for the last couple of years. Now, she's created both a book and journals to help with that. She's got them here, and we really look forward to her presentation. So welcome aboard, Jane Schuette.
Isn't that what Lauren taught us yesterday? We're supposed to sweep and then focus. She gave us some new behaviors to start practicing, to practice for our confidence. She also talked about the importance of values and how values sort of lead those behaviors. Sandy talked about that yesterday as well. She talked about the importance of choosing your values. Which 3 values are you going to hold on and use to navigate your behavior? So this session is going to take another look at you and your behavior. We call it personality. Your patterns of behavior, your patterns of feelings and thoughts. That's all called personality. Now, we talk about choosing our values, but what about personality? Are you choosing your patterns of behaviors? Or did somebody dub you with those? Did somebody just tell you that's the way you are? And you listened, and you agreed, and you went, yeah, okay, I guess that's true. The truth of the matter is, it's 50-50. 50% nature, how we were born, and 50% nurture. It's as though we have this keyboard of personality traits available to us when we're born. And some of them are very natural for us to use. And we start using them. And we start singing songs, if you will, with them. Personality songs, because it's natural to us. Mary had a little lamb, little lamb, little lamb. Mary used her introversion to play alone with the lambs. And we got some feedback from it. Oh, isn't that cute? But what we're realizing now is that we aren't spending a whole lot of time nurturing our personality traits. What instead psychologists are thinking we're doing is we're building up defense systems with our personality traits. And it's a very unconscious process. And we go, oh, I got good feedback for that. I'll do more. I'll play more of introversion. It's good for me. And then when we step out and try some extroversion and it doesn't go real well, our defenses come up and we go, oh, that's right. I'm not extroverted. I'm not going to interact with groups. In fact, I'm going to start claiming that. I'm going to start saying, oh, that's right. I don't speak up in groups because I'm introverted. And now we've just called ourselves a name. And in some cases, it can be limiting to us, not explaining our behavior, but putting us in a box. So today what we want to do is explore that. Explore the messages that we've been given. For instance, let's hold on. Why do I care about personality? Well, I'd like to tell you my why story. My why story of why I care about personality is because I love to swim. Before you go, okay, Jane's lost it. That has nothing to do with personality. Let me explain. So when I was young, every summer, my family went to my uncle's cabin in northern Minnesota, Cross Lake. It was the best. We spent the entire summer there because it was glorious. Okay, truth be told, it was only 2 weeks, but it seemed like the whole summer because we waited all year to go. There were 7 kids in all, and we were like this, boom, 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 boom. Jane. And it was very cool because on vacation, I got included with everyone. It was so awesome. Late night campfires, fireworks, sparklers. I got to do them too. Included with everything, except one thing, swimming. Everyone else knew how to swim except for me. Everyone else did cannonballs off the dock. Everyone else went snorkeling. Everyone else played with inner tubes. Remember the old-fashioned inner tubes? It was really cool if you had the big tractor tire ones. And my uncle had a gas station, so he got plenty of them. Only I couldn't play on them in the deep because I couldn't swim. And worst of all, I could not water ski because I couldn't swim. It was pretty confined. In fact, I was limited to the second dock pole. So there I am, playing water princess, trying to make the best of it, but everybody else was out in the deep having fun. And it wasn't until I learned to swim that the world of possibilities opened up to me. I now could do cannonballs. I now could snorkel. And best of all, of course, I now could water ski. And it was amazing. So now fast forward. We can, whoa. Somebody get that for me. And you can just put that on blank. Take the pick off. All right, thank you. All right, so fast forward to my first career. I was an educator. I was in the classroom, taught little people how to read and write. And I got my master's and then quickly moved to gifted education. I became a director for services to provide for the academically gifted in our school district. I taught them, I provided programming for them, and it became quite obvious, quite quickly, that they really didn't need me for their academics. They were going to learn it anyway eventually. But here's what they did need. They did need to learn how to understand how their behavior was impacting other people. They did need to learn how to be an advocate for themselves. They did need to learn how to work in groups and how to collaborate with other people. And the vehicle for that was personality. And then I realized it's not only my kids in the school that need this information, but many of them have graduated and gone out and are in the workforce, and they don't know these things. So I switched careers, and I learned officially about personality assessments, and I went on the road, and I became a trainer, and I've worked for over 20 years with personality assessments, helping people open the world of possibilities by understanding their patterns of behaviors. We know that the best leaders are the self-aware leaders, the leaders that understand how their behaviors are impacting each other. The best leaders are those leaders who can form positive relationships, who can be advocates. And it's our personality patterns that can help us with that. So that's my why. That's why I really care, because it's going to open the world of possibilities to all of us. But let's go back. Yesterday we heard Sandy showed us a whole list of things that people told her on the screen. I think it was Caitlin, a little bit later in the afternoon, who talked about the teacher who told her, let me see, is she in here? You have an independent thinking problem, right? Who's telling you who you are? And are you listening? We know that children growing up, for every one positive affirmation, an affirmative statement about who they are, they're hearing 10 negative ones. We know that in schools, it's not much better. For every one they're positive, kids are hearing 7 negatives. Are you listening? Am I listening? And what is that doing to our success? You know, it's all kinds of things that we've heard. Maybe, I always heard, you're too sensitive, Jane. Or maybe you've heard, you're too direct. I just heard in the lobby, oh yeah, I'm anal retentive. Really? I think there's a better way to phrase that and own that positively. Let's make sure we're not using our personality traits to excuse our behavior, but to explain and enhance and collaborate with one another. So several years ago, when my son was little, he started getting called a name. I don't even remember what the name was anymore, but it was disturbing to him. And he came home, and of course, as parents, we were empathetic, and we sat and we listened, and we talked to him and just shared how horrible that must feel. And then we moved into what the techniques he can use to stop the behavior. And then we realized he was still hanging on to whatever they said. How can we help them? I think Caitlin said yesterday, flush it. How can we help him flush that and not have it take ownership of him? So finally I looked at him and I said, you know what, Greg? I'm going to start calling you Orange. That's right. I think you kind of act like an orange. You look like an orange. Well, he looked at me puzzled. I was like, Mom, that's so stupid. I said, I don't think so, because I think you look like an orange. He goes, Mom, I'm not an orange. I go, really? And then the penny fell, as they say. And he goes, oh, I'm not those things. It's me who decides. It doesn't matter what anybody else says. Now, do we want to use the feedback? Sure. But we don't want to always just take it and own it. So what we're going to do today is think about first some of those phrases, some of those things you were called by a parent, a sibling, a teacher, a boss, a colleague, anyone that maybe you've hung on to and you're not sure if they were right. Maybe they stung a little or stung a lot. Maybe you're still carrying them. So talk at your tables a little bit about some of those things you've been called, some of the personality traits you've been crowned with that you maybe feel are, I'm not so sure I like it. All right? Clear on what to do? Have a little conversation at your tables. All right, let's bring it back up to the front. By the laughter, it seemed like at least every table had a few funny ones to share of personality assessments or traits that we've been given that were maybe in our eyes less than pleasing. Maybe they even meant it as a compliment, but we went, what? You see me as doing that. Right? So now what we're going to do is take a look at those through the lens of the Big Five. It is a personality theory that is scientific, and it's an open system, which is why I love it. Many, many scientists have contributed the research to the Big Five, and they come up with the same 5 traits or categories of traits that all of us have, no matter what our age is, no matter what our economic status is, no matter where we live. It's international. 5 traits. And I would encourage you, once a teacher, always a teacher, take some notes and write down ocean down the side of your paper. O-C-E-A-N, ocean. Because those are the first letters of each of the Big 5 categories. And we're going to go through each one. Is Carrot Top a thing here? You know, the guy, the comedian? Do we know Carrot Top? Yeah? Okay, so I'm kind of doing my Carrot Top thing, and I've got some props for us. All right, so the first category from the Big 5 is called openness. Openness. How open to experience are you? It's about processing information. And for that, I have my little artist's beret that I use to symbolize it's about thinking what if. It's about taking what you already know, putting it together in a new way, and being open to the experience. And if you need more information, you're going to look and research and find it because you love to learn. You love new experiences. You kind of like change. opposite of that, I call concrete. Feet on the ground, on the concrete, conventional. That's the opposite of open to experience. Now, we aren't one or the other, but we might lean towards one more than the other. And more importantly, are there times when any of you have needed to really be concrete or open to experience and come up with a new idea in your job? Raise your hand if you have. Then you've used this. How many of you, though, have had to use the policy as it's written? Yep. We need both. Open to experience. We can't just go, well, I'm creative, so I don't care how it's been done in the past. Sometimes that doesn't work. All right, open to experience. The next one is C, conscientiousness. You get points if you can spell it. Conscientiousness. This is about how we focus. This is about how we manage time. This is about us wanting to get things right. I have a big calculator as big as I could get to travel with. You could also think of a big clock or a to-do list. Raise your hand if you make a to-do list. All right, then you're gonna go, oh, I must be conscientious. Guess what? No. Conscientious means that I follow the to-do list, probably in the order. I've color-coded the to-do list. I don't do anything else till I get my to-do list done. And at the end of the day, if I do something that was not on that list, well, I write it down just for the victory of checking it off. On the other side is flexible. Have you ever needed to be flexible at work with your to-do list? Have you ever made the entire to-do list and somebody called and they need you right now? Yeah, you need to be flexible too. Some of us kind of live in flexible. We love changing things up. Somebody calls us and we go, woo-hoo, got out of my to-do list for a little while. Let's have a chat. And then we look at the to-do list and down at the bottom is something and we go, yeah, maybe I should do that. Okay. And then we start doing that and then our email comes in and we realize there's a sale at some place we like to shop, and then we go, oh, let's just check that out. So we're really flexible in how we do things. What's the right way? Trick question. Sometimes we need to be very conscientious and get it right and focus. And sometimes we can kind of multitask and do whatever we feel like doing. Right? I talk about firefighters. Are firefighters conscientious or are they flexible? They're both, absolutely. All right, C for conscientious. The next one is one we talk about a lot in our world, especially when we're talking about getting along. And for that, I have a megaphone. Any idea what it is? Extroversion. E stands for extroversion. It's about where I get my energy. For some of us who have lots of extroversion, these things are awesome because I can listen to the speakers. In fact, I'm actually going to talk during the speakers about what they're talking about. And on break, I'm going to talk about what the speaker talked about. And at night, I'm going to talk about what the speaker talked about. And at night, I'm exhausted, but I've processed it all because I've talked to think. Yep. And if we're more introverted in nature, there was a lot for me to observe and listen to and process. And there's a lot of energy going on in extroversion. Guess what? There's a lot of energy going on in introversion. It's all just up here. It's very busy. Any of you prefer the conversation in your head instead of the one with another person? Yeah, that's really classic introversion. Now, can we be one or the other? I hope you're all shaking no. I hope after this session, no one will say, I'm an extrovert. I'm an introvert. But we're going to change our language to use, I use a lot of introversion. I use a lot of extroversion. Let's stop labeling ourselves and limiting ourselves. Even Carl Jung, who is the one who originated the term extroversion and introversion, said to be one or the other would make the person need to be in an insane asylum. Lunatic asylum, I think is the word he used. Right? And So let's stop that language because we can do both. But remember the piano keyboard? Maybe we haven't been playing row, row, row your boat. I'm an extrovert. And I just said it wrong. I use extroversion, right? We're just rusty on that song. We need to play it. Maybe it's not natural. We still can do it. It's not like eye color. All right. What's the first letter stand for? What's the second letter stand for? And did you spell it right? No. Okay. And what's the third one? Extroversion. All right. A. Any ideas what A stands for? I couldn't hear anything. Awareness? Assertiveness? It is kind of assertiveness, but it's first we're going to start with agreeableness. Here's my pillow to stand for agreeableness. We have high trust when we use this. We have concern for you, for others when we use this. We're concerned about the morale of the group. We're concerned that everyone is on board with the decision being made. And just hold on, because some of you after that last statement are going, oh, good Lord. Because everybody's not going to agree. We need to get the outcome done, people. And we want to win. And we're assertive. And we stand up and we take control of the room. I like to call that outcome focused. This could be called people focused or agreeableness. And this could be called tough-minded. Have any of you been told you're too direct? Own it, girlfriend, because that means you are using the opposite of agreeableness. It doesn't mean you're not being agreeable ever. We can be both. This is where a lot of gender stereotypes come into place. People think, they always ask me, well, what's the data say? Aren't more women agreeable? Aren't more men tough-minded? No. The research is not showing that to a significant degree. But in my coaching, I find that women who naturally lead with tough-mindedness kind of get a bad rap. So call me, we'll talk. What do leaders need to do to be the best possible leaders when it comes to agreeableness and tough-minded? Did I hear both? Yay, give yourself a big star, because research tells us that leaders need to do both. You can't just rely on one or the other, just like any of these traits. Open to experience, conscientious, extroversion, agreeableness. Any idea what the last one is? It's an N. It's not nice. Neuroticism. Ooh, yeah. So many of us now have changed that terminology to say emotionality, but then the acronym doesn't work. So here's why it does work. Help me with this pronunciation. The etymological dictionary, when you look up neuroticism, says your nerves are sensitive. So what this trait means is that you're sensitive to emotions. You're maybe very passionate. You maybe really look to find the risks. You're self-conscious. I use a theater mask to show this. Because what do you think the opposite of those things are? Content, peacefulness, stoic. And I think this personality trait is getting the worst rap ever right now, because everybody should be peaceful. No! Sometimes I want a passionate leader that's getting out there and rallying us up and connecting to our emotions. And sometimes I do want peace, but not always. Several years ago, we were camping in Montana, and our first camping spot was by this beautiful little brook. It was so peaceful. And guess what we did the next day? Woohoo! Whitewater rafting. Now, I'm a mama. I got some little bears with me. And my youngest was 6 at the time. And I was kind of scared. Is this going to be safe for her? I was using my high emotionality to make sure all the risks were going to be taken care of and she would be safe and all of us would be safe. That's a good use of high emotionality, right? The night before, we were just peaceful, contented, hanging out. Both are important. All right, let's review. And the way we're going to review is with stupid human tricks. Like, what can you lick on your body? Now, don't think I'm nuts. All right, so can you lick your elbow? Can you lick your nose? Some people can, some people can't. They're answering me, yes or no. The famous nose licker that we know is Gene Simmons from Kiss, right? But let's use our big five to help us understand the goal of stupid human tricks. If I'm putting on my open to experience hat, I'm going to start experiencing with all kinds of tricks. What else can I lick on my body? And if we're conventional and concrete, well, we're just maybe going to look it up and see what the stats say about these stupid human tricks and how many people can actually do it. If we're conscientious, we want to make sure we get it right. And are we supposed to do it now or did she say later? Flexible has already done it. All right, if we are extroverted, you've already tried licking someone else. If you're introverted, you're just rehearsing in your mind what it might be like. Agreeableness, well, we want to make sure if our neighbor can't do it, that we could maybe work with them and teach them how to do it. We want to make sure that everybody's having a good time licking their various body parts. That's starting to sound really gross. All right, and emotionality is, well, could there be an issue with all this licking? Oh, pandemic, yes, we better be concerned about this. Stoic is just sitting back peaceably and watching everyone lick. All right, what I'd like you to do now is have another table conversation. I want you to think about those phrases those things that you were just called, and see if you need to reframe them. I want you to think about which of these traits are natural. I want you to think about which ones you want to expand, which one you need to use more of to complete your goals and tasks right now. Yep, put it back up. I think it was up. I have the questions written for you. There they are. All right, and what stories about your personality traits do you need to change up a little bit? So you have 3 questions to guide your conversations. Go ahead and chat. Own your patterns of behavior, your personality, and have a discussion about it. All right, I had a quick little conversation as well. And one of the things I wanted to remind all of you is that there's no shame in any of these, right? So sometimes whatever we are, we get a bad rap for, or whatever we're not, we get a bad rap for. And we start judging people with the traits that they're using or not using. Remember the point of it all, we have access to this whole big keyboard. We can pull them on, but it might not be as smooth as somebody who has that trait naturally and has been honing the skill. That's okay. We can ask for some help. It's important, though, that we understand what our patterns are and how we've been using them. So if you'd like to connect with me on LinkedIn, tell me how you've been using your personality traits. Tell me of the traits that you're using right now that are working really well, or ask me for some help on the ones that aren't working. And remember, you can change it up no matter what. So several years ago, after I started doing the training business of personality, I was flying all across the US mostly and into Canada, and I loved it. I loved doing the personality training. And I had my airport routine down pretty pat. I was here in conscientiousness. I knew how I needed to focus. I had the routine down. And so one particular beautiful spring day in Minnesota, I went to the airport with my usual routine. I checked my bag. I went into the security line, and I looked up and went, oh dear, this is going to take some time. There was a group of young adults who obviously had some challenges. And I knew it was going to take us a while. So I thought, okay, good. And then I started shifting to not using the personality traits in a pleasing way to others. I started using them all about me. So this is another point for us to remember. We can overdo our personality patterns. We can do too much of a good thing. And that's what I was starting to do here, because I'm at the airport with thousands of people, but of course it's all about me. Right? So I went through the security and I rolled my eyes at how long it was taking, and we finally got through. And I thought, well, good. I left early, this is fine. And I went about doing my routine. In Minneapolis back in the day, there were great shops. So I would shop on my way to my gate. And on my little shopping journey, I had the aha, what if this group is on my flight? And again, I rolled my eyes. The other thing I maybe forgot to say was that day I dressed in my snooty pants. I don't know if that's a behavior pattern or not, but the behavior pattern is it's all about me. That's what snooty to me is about. And I got to my gate, and sure enough, guess who was there? The entire group. And then I rolled my eyes again, and I thought, what are the odds I'm going to be sitting next to one of them? Again, not proud of this moment, but it does make a point. So I got in my seat, buckled in, did all my usual, get comfort, get in my zone, get focused to what I want to do, all about me. And guess what? Sure enough, a young gentleman from the group was seated right next to me. Okay, I'm going to do my typical, I see you, but I'm going to pretend I don't routine. You know, the whole ignore thing. So I did that quite well. We took off. We got to cruising altitude. At that point, my seatmate decided to relax. And so he went and spread out, clearly into my space. This was not going to work. I thought, instead of talking to him, I took my arm and pushed his arm over. To which he responded, pushing his arm back over, even further. I'm like, oh my goodness, this is so not going to work. I can be strong. I'm a swimmer, remember? I just pushed with all my might. At that point, he stopped. He pulled his arms in. He leaned forward. He looked at me. And he said, in the most kindness, respectful voice, "You're okay." Boom. Change of personality behavior. I leaned over and I said, "Yes, I'm okay. My name's Jane. What's your name?" "My name's Michael." "Well, hi, Michael. We're going to be seatmates for this flight. Where are you and your friends going?" "We're going to Florida. We're going to Disney World." "Oh my gosh, you are going to have the most fun." I am here to tell you right now, I had the most enjoyable flight I probably have ever had in my entire life, talking to Michael about his flight and his time in Florida at Disney World. He was scared. He'd never been on a plane before without his parents. He wasn't seated with his friends. And we chatted, and I said, "There's nothing to worry about. It's going to be great." We had such a wonderful time. And at the end, when we landed, he begged me to go with to Disney. I really wished I could have gone. And then he said, "Well, when we get back to Minnesota, could you come visit me?" It's like, "I can't." No, you can. I'll give you my address." It's like, no, I can't, but I would love to. And you're going to have a great time. So I'm here to tell you, no matter what you use naturally, no matter what your current patterns of behaviors are, you can change them. You can put on something else and use it to connect with yourself, to connect with other people, to make the world a better place, to make your world a better place. I know it sounds so cliche, but it really is what we're all about, making our circle of influence better. And we need to be more aware to do that. Put down the defenses. Pull up what you need for the circumstances. You all can do it. You're all amazingly brilliant. So now to close, a couple things here first. First of all, if you want to learn more about personality, come and talk to me. Scan the little QR code. There are little sheets with me standing like this, in this dress, actually. And you can get more information. You can contact me. We can be in contact together. My book is out back. It gives personality information along with other different tools and ideas to get to know yourself better and ways to take care of yourself. There it is. There it is. There's my book. I don't have my journal here. You can contact me to get that. You can order off my website, actually. But it's all about building your brilliance. And it doesn't take long. You know, you can build your brilliance in a second or on a flight. And then to close, back to swimming. So you can share the wealth and open the world of possibilities with what you learn and who you are. And so I've done that. And here is a video of me teaching my granddaughter to swim. Are you ready? Do it again, do it again. Thank you very much. Thank you for being brilliant, and let's go make the world a better place.
What a wonderful message, and it makes me think about times, when you think, oh, this isn't going to turn out, and you do flick the switch, and it turns out to be a memorable experience. We've got just a couple minutes. I'll take one question, maybe real quick, if anybody has a question of Jane on how to reach down and do things a little differently than maybe what you are naturally inclined to do. Oh, okay, we've got one. Perfect. Come on up.
My quick question is, when you're looking at those big 5 objectives, how do you kind of identify which one maybe you're struggling with when you're not really able to kind of think about all of them? Because we're not all professional personality experts, right? So
right. Great.
How would you know to which one to focus on and kind of build, I guess?
There are a couple things you can do. One is ask for my handout. I will give you a handout that has all of them there, and you'll learn and do what's natural to you, and by observing people who do it well, and then you fit them into the categories to start thinking more about them. You can also take a personality assessment. I'm not against assessments. I've done them helped people with assessments for 20 years. What I'm against is using them as the gospel truth about who you are. Right? No matter what it says, they're a conversation starter. They're a self-awareness starter for you to look at it and go, oh, now I answered these questions and it says I'm doing this. Is that right? And then you have conversations with people. How is that affecting you? Do I do that? Is it helping? Is it hindering? And then you start learning new ways of doing things. My guess is you probably already know, you just haven't labeled them, right? So you can use some of the information out there. Brian Little is a great speaker on this. He's got a TED Talk about you just start listening and learning and you'll start identifying it. Does that help? Welcome.
Great. All right. Well, thank you very much. Let's put our hands together once more for Jane Schuette. And I know she's got her booth out there. You can't miss her. She's got lots of energy, and I know you can find her if you have more questions for her later. Thank you so much, Jane.
Thank you, everyone.